Happy Black History Month. My name is Melvin. I'm a professional artist and a certified community producer at Brick Arts Meeting. I have a show entitled The Artistic Talent, which comes on every Monday and Wednesday at 1 a.m., 11 a.m., and 4 p.m. on Cablevision 68 and Verizon 4243. On this Black History Month, I will present to you 3 parts. Part 1, From Slavery to the White House. Part 2, Our History. Part 3, Our Past Civil Rights Leaders. So let us begin this journey.
Black History Month on Voice of America, remembering pioneers who paved the way for a better, safer future. Mary McLeod Bethune, a fearless educator, champion for women and racial equality, and in her day, arguably the most powerful African American in the country. Mary McLeod was one of 17 children born to former slaves in South Carolina in the southeastern region of the United States, where she quickly learned that the key to a better life for Black people was education. After graduating high school, she wanted to be a Christian missionary in Africa. Denied the opportunity to go because of her race and seeing a critical need to educate descendants of American slaves, she married and began to teach school. Teaching reinforced Bethune's desire to improve lives through education, and in 1904, with $1.50 and a dream, Mary McLeod Bethune began a small school in Florida. Under Bethune's direction, that 6-student school blossomed into the fully accredited Bethune-Cookman University. Bethune's fierce leadership and drive launched her onto the national scene. First, in leading the National Association of Colored Women's Clubs, then by founding the National Council of Negro Women. In 1936, Bethune became the first African-American head of a federal agency when she was appointed the director of the Office of Negro Affairs in the National Youth Administration. Bethune was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame in 1973, and her legacy is also honored in the form of a statue in Washington, D.C. Bethune is the first African American and the first woman to be recognized in this way. A courageous pioneer, social visionary, and a U.S. matriarch, Mary McLeod Bethune.
I stand before you today as a candidate for the Democratic nomination for the presidency of the United States of America.
Shirley Anita St. Hill was born on November 30th, 1924 in Brooklyn, New York. Always involved in her community, she was a teacher, community organizer. She was the first African-American woman elected to Congress. In 1970, Chisholm was elected to a second term. And 2 years later, on January 25th, 1972, Chisholm announced her candidacy for presidency, becoming the first African-American woman to seek a major party for a nomination for President of the United States.
I am the candidate of the people of America.
She ran on a campaign slogan, unbought and unbossed. And who would think to boss around Shirley? Chisholm did not win the nomination, but she garnered 151 of the delegates' votes. Chisholm served in the House of Representatives until she retired in 1982. We must honor and remember the remarkable achievements of Shirley Chisholm, freedom fighter, activist. Before there was a Barack teacher, or Hillary, leader of the women's movement, there was Shirley.
Educator, activist, and author Booker T. Washington was born into slavery in 1856. Determined to get an education, Washington attended the Hampton Institute in Virginia and went on to establish the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama at the age of 25. In 1895, he gave a speech at the International Exposition that came to be known as the Atlanta Compromise. The speech brought him national fame, but also drew sharp criticism from other activists, most notably W.E.B. Du Bois, who believed that the speech was too accommodating to white interests. At the turn of the century, Washington was considered one of the most powerful African Americans of his time, and his autobiography entitled Up From Slavery was a bestseller. Washington is remembered as a symbol of Black achievement in education.
Frederick Douglass was a brilliant writer, orator, and a renowned anti-slavery activist in the mid to late 19th century.
Born to an enslaved woman in 1818, he escaped to the North at age 20 and lectured throughout the United States. In a speech in 1852, he expressed respect for America's founders, but also criticized the hypocrisy of American Christianity's support of slavery. His speech was filled with biblical references, including text from the book of Acts.
You profess to believe that of one blood God made all nations of men to dwell on the face of all the earth, and hath commanded all men everywhere to love one another. Yet you notoriously hate all men whose skins are not colored like your own.
Engage with the Bible in its impact on the history of a nation.
Barack Obama is the 44th President of America and is the first African American president to be elected. His term in office started in 2009. The major events of his presidency have included the economic crisis at home and the ongoing fight against terrorism. Barack Hussein Obama II was born August 4, 1961, in Honolulu, Hawaii. His parents were Ann Dunham, a white American from Kansas, and Barack Obama, who was a black Kenyan studying at the University of Hawaii. Barack Obama's father left the family when Obama was 2 and returned to Kenya, where he died in an automobile accident. He was educated at Columbia University and Harvard. The career of Barack Obama includes the roles of community organizer, politician, and statesman. He became the 44th President of America in 2009. Barack Obama married Michelle LaVaughn Robinson on October 18, 1992, following a brief courtship and engagement. Barack Obama and his wife have 2 children. Their names are Malia Ann and Natasha, known as Sasha. Barack Obama belongs to the Democrat political party. He was 47 years old when he was inaugurated as the 44th president. Inauguration is a president's swearing-in ceremony. Joe Biden stood as the vice president. Barack Obama is the first African American to be elected president of the United States and told supporters that change has come to America, as he claimed victory in his presidential election. Barack Obama is an imposing figure, standing at 6 feet 1 inches. He was known as Obama at high school for his skill at basketball, and as a teenager was called Barry by his friends and family. On his desk in the White House, he keeps a carving of a wooden hand holding an egg, which is a Kenyan symbol of the fragility of life. Barack Obama was awarded the 2009 Nobel Peace Prize. The foreign policy goals of Barack Obama included ending the war in Iraq, securing all nuclear weapons from terrorists, and finishing the fight against al-Qaeda and the Taliban. In May 2011, he announced that a special forces team had killed Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. The domestic policy goals of Barack Obama included ensuring health insurance became available to all and combating the effects of the recession. Doubts about the economic stimulus package resulted in the downgrading of the USA's credit rating in August of 2011. So ends our short biography to date about the life and presidency of Barack Obama.
I want to share with you and tell you a real story about our past life, about us, about Black people, African American, that came from Africa, that was enforced, brought, and enslaved to this country. So this is what I'm going to give you history back, because we got to know our past before we can move up to our future. Because if we don't know our past, sorry to say, we ain't gonna be nobody, because we don't know who we are. painful as it is and destructive, there are going to be some stuff here that I want to be talking about. It's going to move you, but you got to know your past. So let's start off by letting you know how my ancestor or how Black people got to this country. We was first brought here or chained or shackled or forced here by slave masters. And you had a lot of us that had shackles, chain, and things around our neck that we couldn't even run away. Kids, mothers that was pregnant, just about everybody. So that's how we've been brought here on the Mayflower. So we were stripped of all of our ritual, our culture, our way of life, and we was put on the Mayflower as property. Let me repeat that again. We was took here from our homeland and put on a ship called the Mayflower as property and thought of less than human. And a lot of them that brought us here, the slave owners, they looked at us like we wasn't even human, less than human. And some of them justified it that through their Christian church, through their Bible. And it's in there. Just look up Leviticus, see that they justify this, that we are slaves to them. Okay, so while we on the Mayflower, we was treated inhumanely, disgusting. A lot of us didn't make it. And some of they just threw off in the water. So we died. But when we got here, the first thing they did was put us on auction to be sold as property, as slave to their slave owners and masters. Oh, they was bidding for us. Mother, child, grown-ups, men's, woman. So they bid it for us and we were sold to the highest bidder. And then we was divided once we got to the plantation. We were divided to the cotton field or become a servitor or butler in the house. And we was forbidden to even speak another language or read the Bible or anything like, or even read, because they wanted complete control over us, how they seen it. And try to escape, they hang you. So it was devastating, devastating, the way we was treated. But you had some of us went to a rebellious situation. And it got away for a minute, but it made a lot of noise, which is Nat Turner. So he was revolutionary, and he went to a lot of plantation and started killing them until he got caught. So they thought about that. Now they came up with how they want to control us and make us fear them. And one of the person that had lectured them on that was the Willie Lynch pamphlet, or you want to call it the Willie Lynch syndrome, where he thought about and wrote to all the plantation owner in Virginia this person who told them, who is the master of the slave owners. And so he came up with a plan. And his name is Willie Lynch. You want to call this the Willie Lynch syndrome, because he gathered all the plantation owners in Virginia at the James River. And this is what he had to tell them. He said, I want to show y'all something, how to control, how to put fear into your slaves, because there's too much stuff that's going on, and they are not respecting you. So what you need to do is put so much fear in them that they would never, never rebel against you again. So what he was showing them is that he had one of the slaves, and especially a woman, that she's pregnant, and he ripped her stomach out in front of all the slaves and ripped out the baby. And that was one of the biggest fears that he did, because you can't do nothing. As the woman hollered and screamed, didn't matter to them. They wanted to make sure that they wanted to instill fear, confusion, make you so messed up that all you're going to think about is that you'll never do that. And they letting you know is that whatever you do, you always will fear us. You would always do nothing against us. And so that's why you have now today, because they instilled that into them of what they were saying, that you have blacks turning against blacks. Blacks that's light-skinned, darker, they look at the lighter one, and the lighter one look at the darker one, and they think they're better. So they have that situation, and we go through that. They don't want their hair to be Afrocentric. They want to straighten up their hair, be like a white person. They want to wear, before back in the days, there wasn't no makeup and all that. It was just pure, even our skin. But, you know, as you got into the commercial in the country, this is all what you see. You take away who you want to be. And then you had a lot of us that went to prison or community want to do crimes because it's so confusing. You didn't have Black history in the schools. And the people were so fear of the white person. So that Willie Lynch is online. Look at it. That he said this would last for at least 300 to 400 years if you do exactly what I told you to do to his slave owners in Virginia on the James River. So there was another thing that they make sure that we would never go against them is take away everything that we had, our ritual. Do not teach them how to read or write. Keep them dumb, stupid. And they enforce a overseas into the plantation, into our own community, and the overseas was one of us. Now think about what they're doing. They put somebody in control of us and give him a horse, a whip, and a better cabinet away from us, and he would be in control, letting them know exactly what we're doing. So when the white master comes, he's going to tell them, and then he'll have the overseas whip us. So that was another thing, because we were so confused, our own people turned against us, and that's how we would have it, divided. So remember our history, because we always got to know this. We run away from this history, we lost. But now I want to get into how our strength, endurance, spirituality will always overcome anything that happens to us in our culture. And they know that. Before we came to this country, we had all this in us anyway, through our bloodstream. That's why we overcome a lot of stuff. And that's why we moved from slavery to the White House and become the president. No matter what you do to us, we still will overcome. So this is part of our history, and we're very strong people, very knowledgeable, but it was still that Willie Lynch syndrome that continues to hang over our head because it's in the blood of you fear us only. And you still see it until today. You still see that. And so it is what it is, and we still can overcome that situation too. But remember, they would always have somebody in our own community or our own plantation and make them as the overseer and the whip to watch over us. So whatever you do, he would report or she would report back to the white person and let them know what we're cooking up or what's going on. So that what keeps them in control of us. Think about that. So again, this is part of our history and part of the stuff that we go through. And you could take it to every little stuff that I'm talking about and look at that and look at what you got around you and how some people think they're better than you and they don't want nothing to do with their own kind, and they don't even know the history, and they would let them know what's going on. And I will just give you just one or two examples how when we start raising up to the top and control, think about what happened to Martin Luther King. Does that make sense now? Once you start raising up and going against the government and you get everybody on your side and you let them know all the stuff that they're doing to us and how we're not going to take this anymore. We want to vote, we want to do this, and how they end up getting assassinated. Malcolm X. They have your own people do it because you raising the voices of the people and you're not listening to them anymore. All right, so think about all these other stuff that happens. But anyway, that's part of our history. So this was going to lead me into all this other stuff that I'm going to be talking about. And this will be the civil rights past leaders. So let's get into that.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners, will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood? I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted. Every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children be able to sing with new meaning, my country tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring. From the mighty mountains of New York, let freedom ring. From the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania, let freedom ring. From the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado, let freedom ring. From the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and when this happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last, thanks God Almighty, we are free at last.
So I hope you enjoyed watching this historical information relating to Black History Month, because it's something that we should never forget, and we have to understand our past before we move forward into the future. And all the past leaders, civil rights leaders that did an excellent job to open up the ways for us where we can move up. And just want to let y'all know, I have this show on every Monday and Wednesday on the Artistic Talent Show from 1 a.m., 11 a.m., and 4 p.m. on Cablevision 68 and Verizon 50, 42, and 43. Please visit my website or my Facebook page, and I will have that coming across where you will see exactly how to get to it, which is my website is blackartperspective.com, and my Facebook is Melvin African Cultural Art. So I welcome you again to visit me and support what I'm doing. And if you have talent yourself, you're welcome to come on board. So with that thought, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Well, this show came to an end. So in conclusion, how would you like to be remembered on Black History Month?